The night is quiet. Too quiet. You step into a dimly lit parking lot, and the air feels heavy. That uneasy stillness where your instincts start whispering before your logic can even catch a breath. Most people call it paranoia. Intelligence officers call it awareness. It is the invisible armor that keeps them alive long before a threat ever strikes. If you are watching this right now, whether it is 2 in the afternoon in a crowded cafe or midnight in your bedroom, I want you to stop and look around. What you are about to discover are real-world spy awareness tactics that bridge the gap between physical survival and digital defense. Intelligence officers live by a simple creed. If you can see it before it happens, you can survive it. They are trained to read reality like a code. Every reflection, every glance, every misplaced sound. But in 2025, that code isn't just written on the streets. It is written in packets of data, phishing links, and social engineering scripts. Welcome to this cybercrime documentary special. I am the Digital Sleuth. Today, we aren't just talking about shadows in an alleyway. We are talking about the shadows on the dark web, the patterns of global fraud, and how the same tradecraft used by field agents can save your identity in the digital age. The first secret of the intelligence world lies in what spies call the baseline. Whether it is a market in Cairo or a subreddit for crypto investors, professionals observe for a full minute before they do anything else. They study the rhythm. Who talks? Who moves? What is loud and what is quiet? Once you know normal, you can spot abnormal. Think about an officer walking through a crowded city in the Middle East. He notices one man who isn't looking at the shops, but at faces, scanning each passerby. Within seconds, the operative knew that man was surveillance. He took a longer route, entered a store, and exited through another door. The awareness saved him. In the cyber world, this is exactly how we detect advanced persistent threats. Imagine a corporate network where data flows at a certain rate for months. Then, suddenly, at 3 in the morning on a Sunday, there is a massive spike in outbound traffic. That is a behavioral leak. It is the digital equivalent of a car engine idling outside your house for much longer than it should. But the threat isn't always a state actor. Often, it is an internet mystery that starts with a simple click. Consider the Carbonac hack, one of the most sophisticated financial frauds in history. The attackers didn't just smash and grab. They studied the baseline of bank employees. They sent phishing emails that mimicked internal memos so perfectly that no one blinked. They stayed invisible for months, learning how the banks operated before they remotely triggered ATMs to spit out millions in cash. Spies are also masters of 360-degree awareness, what they call the bubble. In public, they never shrink into their phones or isolate themselves from their surroundings. Every reflection in a shop window and every shadow under a streetlight becomes a silent sensor. You can do the same not through fear, but through mindful observation. In your digital life, your bubble is your metadata. Every time you post a live location or use a public Wi-Fi without a VPN, you are popping that bubble. You are making your life an open book for those who observe quietly. Patterns are the language of threat detection. Truth is never loud. It hides in the quiet, in the spaces between words, in the rhythm of a breath that breaks just slightly out of time. Spies are masters of reading leakage, the involuntary signals the body releases when the mind tries to conceal a lie. Agents can sit across from a seasoned deceiver, smile politely, and still walk away knowing what the other person didn't want them to see. This isn't magic. It is the science of human behavior distilled through decades of observation. And it can be used by anyone to protect themselves from manipulation. Lying is hard work for the brain. It requires construction. While truth only requires recall, this manifests as a dry swallow, a delayed smile, or linguistic distancing. Using the car instead of my car to subconsciously detach from the lie. This translates directly to dark web scams and modern phishing. Have you ever received an urgent security alert from your bank and felt that sudden spike of panic? Look for the leakage. The tone is often slightly too aggressive, and the URL is almost right but has a single character swapped. Like a 0 for an O. This is digital deception. The hackers are counting on you to be in a state of high effect, where your emotions override your baseline awareness. In the intelligence world, we use the mirror test to confirm if we are being followed by subtly changing our pace. In cybersecurity, we call this sandboxing or honeypotting. Security researchers create fake servers that look like high-value targets to lure attackers in. When a hacker mirrors the expected behavior of an intruder, the researchers know they aren't dealing with a curious kid. They are dealing with a professional. But the most dangerous deception is social engineering. Like a spy infiltrating a target. A cybercriminal might call a help desk pretending to be a distraught employee. They use human micro-behaviors, like the sound of a crying baby in the background or a panicked tone, to bypass firewalls. They aren't hacking the computer. They are hacking the human. To disappear is not to hide. It is to blend. Real intelligence officers don't vanish into the shadows like in the movies. They dissolve into the noise of the world. In the field, invisibility isn't about black suits or secret tunnels. It is about becoming unremarkable. This is the gray man theory. If no one remembers your face 5 minutes after you leave the room, you have succeeded. The first rule every operative learns is simple. Visibility is not exposure. You can stand in a crowd of hundreds and remain invisible if you match the tempo of the environment. In the digital realm, becoming a gray man is the ultimate defense against identity theft and targeted hacks. Most people broadcast their lives across a dozen platforms. They are loud. A spy, however, manages their signature. They avoid wearing identifiable accessories or following predictable routes. For you, this means randomness. Randomness is a defense mechanism. Don't share your schedules online. And avoid checking in at predictable times. Every predictable move is an invitation to those who observe quietly. Spies also practice information silence. They understand that curiosity is a form of surveillance. Every photo or personal detail shared publicly becomes a piece of a puzzle someone else could use. Privacy today is not paranoia. It is power. We see this in major financial fraud mechanics. Scammers often use pig butchering schemes. A slow burn fraud where they build trust over weeks or months. They are playing the long game. Just like a deep cover operative, but because they are building a story, there will eventually be gaps. A story that skips over key moments is a story that is being constructed, not remembered. Truth lives in reflex. Lies live in rehearsal. Spies also perfect exit discipline. The art of leaving without a trace. They clean the space and remove identifiers. In psychological terms, it is about knowing when to walk away from a conversation or a situation that doesn't align before it becomes unsafe. The final weapon of a spy isn't a gadget or a gun. It is the mind. In the intelligence world, survival begins long before the danger appears. Agents are trained to think under pressure, to slow down time when others panic. When an operative feels the tension tighten, they do not react. They respond. That single difference defines the line between survival and collapse. Reacting is instinct. Responding is intelligence. It is the art of stepping outside fear, analyzing it, and using it. Most people freeze because their brains are overwhelmed by uncertainty. Spies learn to disarm that chaos by asking one question: what do I control right now? The answer is almost always the same: breath, body, and focus. They anchor themselves in the present moment, letting the storm pass without being swept away. This is the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, and act. This formula works in every crisis, from street encounters to natural disasters. You don't need training to use it. You only need the will to pause when others rush. Before you click a link or download an attachment, pause for 2 seconds. That pause recalibrates your senses and keeps the logic brain online. Practice stress inoculation. Rehearse your response to a digital crisis. Do you know where your recovery codes are? Do you have an offline backup? If you have practiced the crash, you won't freeze when the accident happens. At its heart, the spy's mindset is not paranoia. It is preparation without panic. A spy does not fear shadows. They simply refuse to ignore them. The world of 2025 is a battlefield of information. Whether you are walking down a dark street or navigating the web, the most powerful weapon is the mind that sees before others do. Awareness, once learned, doesn't just save your data. It changes how you see the world itself. You begin to see the cracks before they widen. Stay vigilant. Stay invisible. I am the Digital Sleuth, and I will see you in the next one. Truth is never loud. It hides in the quiet.